It's Good Friday, and this is the day Jesus died for all of our sins. So, you know what? Have fun. It's all paid for. You're playing with the house money. Oh, just same way it is. It's tax day, or was. I think AOC should be the candidate. Do you?
No. I mean, no. I'm not saying. I mean, like, it's not my job to pick who the candidate is going to be.
Oh, it's mine.
Yes.
And it's not. It shouldn't be her.
Maybe you should talk to the president about that.
It shouldn't be her.
After that supper with Trump in the Oval Office, Bill Maher's situation has undoubtedly changed, and he isn't keeping silent. As anticipated, the wokies are going crazy by his candid remarks regarding the positive aspects of Trump. They're even producing hit articles in magazines that openly criticize him in an attempt to push him back into cancel culture mode.
Without thinking about what he's done to this country, because he's such a little baby that he's thrown 250 years of democracy out the window by not accepting the results of an election. I mean, it's so crazy. He's such a sociopath. He's so insane. He just couldn't admit to losing. And we know he lost. He knows he lost. And look how he's fooled everybody. He's convinced all these people that he didn't lose. He's such a sick man. He's so sick. Anyway, no, it hasn't impacted me at all.
The twist is that Bill Maher isn't going to back down. His retaliation is drawing attention and could be the surprise comeback they were expecting. The right is responding to the woke's absurd plan to restrict free speech with just this kind of resistance.
Because Bill Maher, first of all, I totally agree. He's totally in the right to do it, and I loved his monologue. Even though I disagree with most everything he believes politically, he was right to do this and he was right to speak out about it. But this isn't about that dinner. It's about the next one, because this is the modern left. It's an attempt always to intimidate people into not ever doing it again. It's to silence yourselves, or we'll do it for you. That's the purpose of this op-ed, so that the next comedian or the next person on the American left chooses not to speak to Donald Trump. This is all an effort to get people not to do what you just said, which is to talk to.
I voted for Obama. I voted for Clinton. But the idea that I could talk to them as freely as I felt this conversation was going is emblematic to me of why the Democrats lose the elections, because they just don't feel that this is like a real person. And I know it's so weird to say that about Donald Trump, who I've said a jillion times is, a whiny little bitch. I mean, I could go through my greatest hits of like insults, but this was about getting past that and maybe seeing that if we met in person, we don't hate each other as much, and we don't. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to pretend that's a bad thing.
Indeed, the contemporary left continues to focus on the same issues that initially led to their defeat. These radical left nutcases are now being exposed for their true nature, even by Bill Maher. Instead of retreating, he turned around and further exposed them, despite their best efforts to silence him and cancel him.
Homeland. And Jews have always lived there. You can look it up. It's in this book called The Bible. It says the Jews built a temple with a really big wall 7 centuries before Muhammad or Islam ever existed, and sure as shit, you can still go there and touch it. Calling Jews colonizers in Israel is like calling Native Americans colonizers here. It's ridiculous. To mark the October 7th anniversary, we must launch a campaign to educate young Americans about the Middle East. And the way I'd like to begin that process is by addressing an open letter to Chapel Roan, a great new recording artist who, like a Hezbollah pager, is really blowing up. Chapel, if you think it was repressive growing up queer in the Midwest, try the Mideast. Chapel, did you know that for 2,000 years, Palestine was like an Uber driver with a 3-star rating? Nobody wanted it. And there was never any Arab country called Palestine. Chapel, you're not wrong that oppression is bad, or that Palestinian and many other Muslim populations are oppressed and deserve to be freed. You just have it completely ass backwards as to who is doing the oppressing. Hamas is a terrorist mafia that took over Gaza. These are the oppressors. And when you make it all about Israel, you take the pressure off of them. You enable them. Gender may not be binary, but right and wrong kind of is.
The thing that struck them The most was when he made the point that Trump possesses a strength and authenticity that the wokies will never be able to match.
So that acknowledges male-female distinctions. What a concept,
Oh,
right?
of course.
I mean,
Of all the low-lying fruit that the Democrats just like hand the Republicans to win elections, that's the one.
you know, it's so funny. I joked around with my team the other day. I said, are they really going to just let us win every national election on this no men and female sports thing?
Right.
Like, they can't surrender on this one issue.
It's so ridiculous.
It's a 90-10 issue.
Yeah.
There's 890 medals and trophies of men winning these competitions.
You lost Gavin Newsom on this. Okay? Take that as a hint, right? I mean, I think you were
I was the one that asked the question.
Right. Yeah.
And he said, issue of fair.
The best legal minds in Britain spent years having to work out the first thing we knew as a species.
But just to be clear, we're not saying there's not such a thing as trans, right? We're not saying there's not such a thing as someone who was, quote unquote, born in the wrong body.
I don't think people get born in the wrong body now.
Oh, I do.
I do.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a default setting for, like, we should acknowledge that. It's not just every time there's a baby, ooh, who knows what the fuck it is. That's crazy. But there are...
Beyond me.
But there are variations.
There are variations,
homosexuality.
that's right. It's a continuum.
And then,
Right,
you know,
and
but it's how we handle that.
That's
you know?
right.
I mean, and I think we would agree that, you know, children, and this is where America is now an outlier country. We're the only country that went full, and I guess Trump is reversing it, but certainly under Biden, who went fully toward that. Like, we don't care what age, kids can self-diagnose themselves. I mean, that to me was going way too far on this. Again, nobody just comes back to the sensible center.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the sensible center is that, like, you respect people, you trust parents, you let parents figure out what to do with their kids, and you don't need a bunch of politicians in Washington making decisions.
That is not the Democratic position, at least here in California.
Well, that's my position.
I'm good. I think that's where the Democratic Party should. That is not the position that we've had here in California, which is like, don't tell the parents what the kids are doing at school. That's a whole, and that you really alienate voters.
Yeah.
Parents are voters. When you're not a parent yet, you know, it's like, oh, voting, whatever. You know.
Sex is not a spectrum. I mean, it's male and female. There are some people with very unusual conditions who deserve absolute sympathy and support. But that does not mean that we're a hermaphroditic species. We're just not.
No, but
That's not it.
No, not the whole species. But this goes back. I mean, I don't want to use the term chicks with dicks, but I could. I mean, this goes back to like ancient Rome, and like there was always people who were like not quite one.
It's not hard to get to toleration and acceptance without rewriting biology.
Right. Right.
Bill Maher is doubling back against the wokies, not with them, as is becoming increasingly evident. To be honest, it's been amazing to watch him call them out one by one. He didn't mince words, even while discussing the current problems with Israel and Palestine. Take a listen to how he broke down the woke takes one by one. His statements are clear to anyone with even a semblance of common sense, which is why the left finds them so unsettling. The wokies are out here weeping for Palestine in the meantime, despite being fully aware of the truth and choosing to ignore it in order to maintain their narrative. They are going crazy because Bill Maher is just stating the facts at this moment. For those who are unaware, Israel is the only nation on the planet that still speaks the same language, worships the same God, and lives on the same territory as it did 3,000 years ago. However, the wokies continue to yell that Israel is the bad guy while ignoring the actual situation on the ground. It's embarrassing in addition to being dishonest. Furthermore, Bill Maher isn't holding back in his efforts to expose the woke lunatics and their lies, as I have stated. They're pursuing him so aggressively because he's pointing it out with clarity, logic, and evidence. It gets even more intriguing. From this point on, since different people have different opinions regarding Bill's supper with Donald J. Trump, just hear Tyrus's thoughts on it. It gives the discussion a completely another perspective. Thank you for viewing, and please remember to leave a comment with your opinions. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. There will be more soon.